When I have a single monolithic database and I split this database into 3 unique individual databases. For example, I can have an orders database. I can have another database called a users database, and I can have another database called a products database. The process of splitting the single monolithic database into these 3 databases is called a federation or functional partitioning, whereby you split up a database by function. This results into a number of very awesome advantages. The first one that comes to mind is that we have less read and write traffic. Let me make this bigger. So the first thing is that we have less read and write traffic. The other advantage that comes along with this is that because now you have less read and write traffic to each database, you have less replication lag. Take note of this. If some of the things I'm talking about are very strange only to you, check the previous videos in the playlist. Everything will make sense. Then the other thing is that because you have a smaller database, it's easier to fit this database in memory. Not to fit the actual database, but to fit its data. You can get more data from this small database into memory. Why? Because if you can fit more data in memory, it is easier for you to build your cache, because you know that caches and the most performant caches are built from memory. So you'll have way more cache hits because of doing this. And the other advantage is that you don't have any single central master serializing writes. So because of that, you can write in parallel. And when you write in parallel, what does this give you? It gives you increased throughput. Take note of this. So we can write in parallel, which means that we have increased throughput. So these are some of the advantages that you can get with federation. But take note that everything has a cost. So always think about the trade-offs of anything that you do. Now, I want to talk about the disadvantages, or why you would not want to go with the federation route. So let's talk about them. The first thing is that you need more hardware. Adding more hardware for every database increases complexity. So I'll just say additional complexity, and I've just explained it's because of adding more hardware. The other one is that joining data becomes more complex. I'll say joining data becomes more complex. If this is new to you, again, please check out the previous videos. And for data complexity or joining data, study something called server link. If you need me to talk about this, I can explain, but I know many of you watching this are good at SQL and server links. But the whole idea is that it's more complex because now you have separate databases. You must join across databases which are located in separate servers. Then something actually which I should have mentioned first is that in now your application logic, you need to determine which database to read and write. So you need to update your app logic to route requests to the correct database. The other is that federation is not effective if your schema requires huge functions or tables. So can I just note that down? That not effective if your schema requires huge functions or tables. So sometimes I like writing down things because it helps me understand better. So I encourage you to always take notes and read and write as much as you can. If you're enjoying this series, like, share, and subscribe. This is a playlist where I'm trying to share everything I know about system design. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.